We cherish the highs and wallow in the lows a little bit here on the Next Best Bet, episode 136. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy. As always, we have an NFL draft special that we're going to talk about, and then some Thursday picks in the MLB, NBA, and the NHL. But Brett, talking about episode 135, and you did fantastic. Another perfect round. I, however, went 1 for 6, 0 for 3 in hockey, by the way. The Blues, they beat me up.
Yeah, it was a tough week for you and the Blues, Higgins. They are not your friend, apparently. You really upset me. You tied me in our Levy Lock pick of the pod, and I just couldn't have that, Higgins. So I had to turn it up a notch and, make sure I got super hot this week. I also made sure I won my lock, which was nice to get back in the winning column there. But you know what, Higgins? This is what we talk about all the time. You're going to have your highs. You have to celebrate a little bit, but never get too high because the lows, they are coming.
And this is why we have bankroll management, to deal with the lows, and the highs help cushion that bankroll, maybe take out some withdrawals, hopefully, who knows. Let's jump into our Beginner's Boulevard, which talks about the return that you're going to get, which is the VIG. If you're betting on something that is favored, it's going to have a VIG or juice, and that just means the commission the book's taking, it's typically 10%.
Yeah, that's always why you see that little minus 110 there, Higgins, instead of minus 100 or plus 100. It's just that extra 10 cents that the book takes off to, place your bets, keep the lights on, and do all that. And that's how they build these giant casinos, Higgins, because a lot of times they're taking more than that, just 10%.
Well, the house always wins. We fight it out with them, though. I'm 13 units up on the year. You're about 9.5, 10 units up on the year so far. Let's get into our NFL draft, Brett. This is the second NFL draft that you and I have done. I listened back to last episode. You did a little better than I did in the NFL draft bets. Let's take a look at this year's, though, because we did just get graced with the news of the Teddy Bridgewater trade to Denver Broncos, which we've had a lot of quarterback talk in this top 10. Denver has one of those picks in the top 10. What does that mean, essentially, now? What's going to go on with these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I guess it raises a little bit of a question. I'm not sure it completely deters the Broncos from taking a quarterback. Like, they only have $3 million invested in Bridgewater. Carolina's going to pay most of that contract, but he's a viable starter in the NFL. He's probably an upgrade over Drew Lock at this point. I don't know. I mean, I still kind of believe in Lock's upside. I don't know if that's the right system. They're not the most creative play calling system. Like, you think with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fan and Melvin Gordon, you want to get the ball into those guys, and they seem very content to run it on second and long. So I'm not 100% sure what the Broncos are going to do. I don't think this takes them out of the QB market, but they're obviously not, quote unquote, looking for a QB, Higgins. Maybe they're one of those teams that takes that second tier quarterback, that Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills type quarterback that we're seeing, that second tier.
Okay, well, let's have that quarterback discussion about this year's first tier, because that's what most of the top 5, maybe even top 10 is going to be, is the quarterbacks. I mean, number 1 pick is pretty foregone conclusion to be Trevor Lawrence. He's minus 10,000 in Oregon. Number 2, the Jets, most likely they're gonna take Zach Wilson. I mean, it's not a guarantee. Brett, Jets fan, is that who you would necessarily want? Are the New York fans going to be happy with that? I don't know, but that seems to be what the media consensus is Zach Wilson's going number 2. 3, I think, is where it gets interesting, though, Brett. But 1 and 2 are pretty foregone. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Higgins. I think we know the number 1 and number 2 picks in this draft. I think 3 is where it starts to get interesting. The Niners traded up a month ago, and you have to think if you're jumping all the way up to 3, they know who they wanted, but We've seen a lot of reports coming out this week that, they're deciding between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. We've seen reports coming that we could all be dead by Sunday, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. So Higgins, please give me a call on Sunday. Make sure you're alive. George Kittle is going to reach out to Kyle Shanahan. I expect you to reach out to me.
I will, and I want you to also reach out to me
Good.
in case I forget.
Okay, deal.
But we said the number 3 pick is where it's going to get interesting, and I agree. The 49ers, they traded up, so they have to stay there at this point. It would be too weird for them to fall back, I think. So who do they go with? A lot of the consensus, the books even, are saying Mac Jones. I think that's a lot of hot air. I don't think they're going for Mac Jones. I think they're going for Justin Fields. And at plus 400, in Oregon, there's some interesting ways that you can bet either as the number 3rd pick, it's plus 400, or the team to draft Justin Fields. I'm saying it's going to be the 49ers at plus 400. I think that's fantastic value, too.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's certainly a bit of a long shot, Higgins, especially from the quote unquote latest news. But to your point, it could all be smokescreens. You have to read between the tea leaves. You kind of have to inform your own opinions. And if I believe Justin Fields is probably the second best quarterback in this draft. If you think he's that high, if not the third best, right? You stick by and you take plus 400 odds, and hopefully you hit another plus money bet so it covers it. God forbid, our long shot chance doesn't pan out.
Well, I do have another quarterback bet, Brett, and that is
Ooh.
like I said, in Oregon, there's a few interesting bets that you can make, and one of them is who is going to be the 5th quarterback selected in the NFL draft.
Yeah, okay.
Kyle Trask.
Hmm.
Kyle Trask at plus 5,000 value. Now, this is a value play because I'm only putting a half unit on this, I'm going to say right now. But I think the 5th quarterback is going to come down to either Trey Lance or Kyle Trask. And I think it's going to be this because Trey Lance, as much as he has been hyped up because of the North Dakota State train that runs through FCS teams and how good he looks, he only got to play one game during a COVID season. So there's not a lot of actual recent time seeing him compared to recently seeing Justin Fields, Kyle Trask, who was an Heisman contender this fall potentially. There are times that these front offices we see just fall in love with guys and they talk themselves into these picks. Like, they seem to think the 49ers have talked themselves into Mac Jones. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But Kyle Trask put on enough of a good performance in the first half of college football this past year, I think, that he could have made some people fall in love. Now, his latter half of his season was a bit of a train wreck, not nearly as strong as the Heisman hopeful that he and frontrunner that he came out to start as. But at plus 5,000 to put half a unit on it, that's fantastic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, Higgins. I don't think Kyle Trask is the 5th quarterback taken, but plus 5,000 odds, you want to take your chance. I can't knock it. I think you gave reasoning as to why it could possibly happen. You found a narrative, and if that storyline plays out on Thursday night, Higgins, you will be a very rich man, and a lot of America will not. So, sometimes, like we were just discussing, you take a long shot, you feel strongly about something, and you're not comfortable with the amount of film or the amount of games Trey Lance has played at the collegiate level. You're much more comfortable with Kyle Trask going up against SEC competition for 2 years. I mean, that's perfectly sound and reasonable, but I think, just my personal opinion here, no inside knowledge or anything, right? I think Trey Lance probably finds himself going in the top 10 of this draft. So it would be pretty tough for me to see Kyle Trask potentially going that high.
Well, you are right because it's Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and then you have the trio of Jones, Field, Lance that, depending on who you talk to, they have those three in a varying order. Sometimes Zach Wilson even gets thrown into that mix and Justin Fields is up at two. But Kyle Trask, I would say, is the solid six. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for you and me, I would say yes. Kyle Trask is probably my sixth best quarterback. We've seen Davis Mills climb a lot over recent weeks. We've seen Kellen Mond start to climb. He put up great numbers at Texas A&M. Now he started for 4 years there. He had a very up and down career. I think Trask in his short time starting in the SEC was probably better than Mon, to be quite honest with you. But Mon's a bigger prospect, more athletic prospect. So an NFL GM might see him in a room and might be like, "Holy shit, did you see that guy?" Which I understand that too.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's a high enough odds that it's a value play entirely, but I brought up the point of how Trey Lance only played one game, and there were some players that sat out entire seasons, like Penei Sewell, and I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock because that man put on a amazing tape protecting Justin Herbert fantastically for the Oregon Ducks. Sat out last season. I still think he goes as the top tackle. And in Oregon, kind of like with my Justin Fields pick, where I can bet on what team's gonna pick them, and I pick the 49ers for Fields, I'm betting that the Bengals are gonna pick Penei Sewell because think about it. Joe Burrow, who they just invested in with a number one pick, tore his knee up to shreds. You saw that scar, right, Brett? Did you see that scar?
Yeah, it was a pretty I mean, obviously you never want to see a quarterback go down with an ACL injury. So, yeah, I protecting your franchise QB is never a bad investment, Higgins. So, I think there's a lot of reasons to like the Penei Sewell pick to Cincinnati. It's just the question really in my mind, Higgins, is you ask Joe Burrow, "Hey man, do you want to get paired up with your boy Jamar Chase again?" And if he comes to you, he's like, "That's my dog. Like, go get me my dog." Just get him his dog, and you get him his guy. You get him his go-to number one wideout, and pencil that in for 15 touchdowns a year, and find another 30 touchdowns on your roster.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was also a journeyman as a quarterback, though jumped around a little bit. So is his connection with Chase is obviously that good. We saw it on the field when he played at LSU and won that Heisman, and Chase went off. But I don't know. That picture that the Bengals even posted recently where you saw the giant scar, I think it dictates you needing to invest to protect him with an offensive tackle pick right there with their what is it, the 5 pick? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally think it makes a ton of sense, Higgins. I'm with you on that one. But you got one more bet in Oregon before we hop all the way over to the East Coast, the New Jersey sports books.
Yes. I have two names for you.
Okay.
Travis Etienne,
Yep.
Najee Harris.
Okay.
Both going to be first rounders, so I'm taking the over 1.5 running backs selected in the first half or first round at plus 150. Both of them proved it in college, basically. I mean, Najee Harris last year, beautiful season. Even before that, a fantastic player at Alabama. And Travis Etienne, a workhorse of a running back at Clemson. Out the backfield, he's beautiful. In the backfield, he's beautiful. I think there's going to be teams that potentially even trade up at the end of the first round to make sure they get one of these running backs. So I think one definitely gets picked, and maybe there's a sneak in like we saw with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year at number 32.
Yeah, 1.5's a tough number, man, they gave you out there. The problem here in New Jersey is the numbers, point 0.5, which I like much better because I think and I don't know why we all think this, which scares me, right? But we all think the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking Najee Harris. So we've kind of got that like written in something stronger than pencil, but not quite Sharpie. And the question is, does ETN sneak in? Well, Seattle could use some running back help, but they don't have a first round pick. Um, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because if we're going just on the talent that the player has, Higgins, you're spot on. I mean, Travis Etienne is a home run of a talent, and even if running backs burn out a little quicker in their careers, 3 years of this guy, sign me up. He's a superstar for sure.
Yeah, I mean, typically there is hesitation with a running back that has seen so much time on the field in college because being a running back is a shorter career just because of how battered and bruised you get. But Jonathan Taylor has proven to be fine with the Colts, and he played all 4 years with the Wisconsin Badgers. So I like the pick.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. It will be interesting. The juice is much heavier on the over 5.5, under 5.5. So, or, I'm sorry, point five. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. 5.5, point five. Um, yeah, I just was talking quicker than I was reading or something.
No worries.
But yeah, so the juice over here is too much for that. But like we mentioned, Higgins, I do think the Steelers are going to take Najee Harris. And if they pivot or if someone beats them to the punch, maybe the Dolphins with their second pick, they add a running back. They add Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. I think the Steelers could eventually pivot and go O line, which is probably in my mind their biggest need, like must fill in this draft is O line. So, on the East Coast, on New Jersey here, we have Steelers first pick odds, Higgins. And basically, what that is it's by position. So I get plus 130 odds on the Pittsburgh Steelers to pick a running back,
Who are
and
currently at number 24.
who are currently at number 24. And I'm placing half a unit on that. And then I'm also going to place half a unit on Pittsburgh to pick an O lineman at plus 165 with their first pick. And, keeps me interested through pick 24. Hopefully they don't trade up or trade down. But I'm excited. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Steelers to be looking at those two positions. Obviously, running back was a need towards the end of the season last year. They could not run the ball at all. But you could also argue the O line was not creating any holes for those running backs. So, it's a little what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Well, I think you make a very interesting point with the O line need because Pittsburgh's sitting at number 24. If they stay there, I imagine they probably do go with that running back play. If they were to trade up, it's probably to try to grab a man like Rashawn Slater, or if he's still there, Penei Sewell, if the Pittsburgh Steelers could trade up that high. But I don't see them necessarily doing that. I like the running back play of yours personally.
Yeah, well, just hit me up, Higgins. We'll figure something out. But there are a few more bets I found like this that I thought were interesting. One team that made some news this offseason, Higgins, the Chicago Bears. They
Da
made
Bears.
the Bears,
Da
exactly.
Bears.
Exactly. They were really all in on Russell Wilson and kind of didn't work out. They quickly pivoted to Andy Dalton. Mitch Trubisky's gone. You know, Higgins, I just got to be honest with you. This team cannot go into week one with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback. I don't buy it for a second. I don't know if the Bears are the team to trade up or not. I don't know if a quarterback starts to drop in this draft. Maybe it's Trey Lance. Maybe it's Mac Jones. Maybe it's Justin Fields. But maybe one of those quarterbacks drops into a range where the Bears can trade up, with a team that doesn't need a quarterback or something. I'm just thinking the Bears cannot leave Thursday night without a quarterback, Higgins. And I get plus 380 odds to take that swing. Kind of like some of yours, it's a bit of a long shot. The Bears have other needs as well. Maybe they do feel confident in Andy Dalton, who's been a starter in this league before and started a bunch of games for the Cowboys last year, but Higgins, kind of like what you're saying with the 49ers, I'm just not buying it. I think the Bears need a quarterback.
I mean, we saw Jim McMahon earlier this month even come out saying Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die, and the Packers are the best quarterback or best organization to play for as a quarterback. He basically sold out the Bears entirely. I agree they need a quarterback. The difficulty is with where they're sitting at number 20. Because what quarterbacks are going to be available at number 20 with the conversation we've been having of this QB frenzy where we could see 4 to 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I think the scenarios that come into play here for the Chicago Bears, right? If they're at 20, do they love Kyle Trask? Do they love Davis Mills? Do they love Kellen Mond? Is one of those potentially their guys? If Justin Fields starts to slip, if he's sitting there at 10, do we have the ammunition to go up 10 spots? I mean, they thought they had the ammunition to go get Russell Wilson. I imagine that you can get up 10 spots in the draft. So I think there's a few
All right.
ways around this one, Higgins. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen here. I mean, we could even see, a quarterback continue to slip. Yeah, but Higgins, pretty much, I think those are the scenarios for the Chicago Bears. I'm not sure which one plays out. I think it's possible, the Patriots even let a quarterback get past them if they're comfortable with Cam Newton. And between you and me, I'm more comfortable with Cam Newton than Andy Dalton.
With the draft, there's always the opinion columns of talking about why a team could talk themselves into potentially drafting a quarterback, it seems. And we're having this conversation of which team could potentially end up passing up the hype. I agree. Bill Belichick looks like someone that would not want to overpay for a quarterback in this draft. I don't see them going with the quarterback this year, even though I think they desperately need one.
Yeah, I mean, you never know
He's always savvy
what
with
they
draft picks,
do.
though.
Yeah,
He's
he
always savvy
is.
with draft picks, though.
He's
We
smart.
talked about another team about with quarterbacks, though, but they had their QB drama last year and still lingering. The Packers. I see you are keeping with your theme of picks, though, with the Packers.
Yes, exactly. The Packers' first pick, Higgins. There are a few guarantees in life, but in the Aaron Rodgers era of starting quarterback, they have drafted an offensive player in the first round once, and you know who that player was?
Devonte Adams.
Jordan Love.
Oh,
So,
oh yeah, that
uh,
was just last year. That was
that
bad of
was
me.
just
That was
last
bad of me.
year. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's
I
okay.
even just hinted at it right before when I gave it to you. How did I miss that?
It's okay, Higgins. It happens to the best of us. But basically, what that tells me, Higgins, the Packers are picking a defensive player with their first pick, and I can't bet on the defensive side of the ball, so I have to split these up into three smaller bets. But cornerback plus 360, zero point 0.5 units, linebacker plus 500, zero point 0.5 units, D line plus 650, zero point 0.5 units. There's also a safety option, but to be honest, with Amos back there, I don't think they're going safety in the first round. So maybe they go a cornerback to pair with Jari Alexander. Maybe they go linebacker. Maybe they go D line and improve the pass rush. But you can almost guarantee that the Packers are going defense with this pick because they think Aaron Rodgers can do it all by himself. And last year he was the MVP. So pretty tough to argue that.
I like it. Covering all three levels with the D line, the linebackers, and the cornerback. Very smart. You're covering all your bases right there. I think that's the probably smartest way to bet the NFL draft out of all of our picks that we've probably given out right there.
Well, I mean, the truth is, Higgins, the Packers are heavy favorites to draft a wide receiver. That's going off at even money, plus 100 here in New Jersey. So People think they're going to go offense. I'm just going on history here and saying the Packers have never done that. They've never helped out Aaron Rodgers. Why is this year going to be any different?
Very fair. Very, very fair. Let's jump into our money line magic, Brett, which is a very fresh wound to me. It happened right before we started recording this podcast. It's one of the picks that I had in episode 135. The Blues and the Wild, they played tonight, and the Wild were up 3-1 in the third period. But of course, this is money line magic. So what does that mean?
Exactly. Well, it was not a good third period for you, Higgins. The Blues came out, and in the first 3 minutes, they scored a power play goal. Then a few minutes later, they scored a goal to tie it up. And it actually stayed tied till a very long time. Till about 27 seconds left in the game, Higgins, when Robert Thomas scores the game winner off a rebound. Third
Just his
goal.
third goal of the year.
Yeah, unbelievable. Third goal of the year, game winner. Third goal of the period for St. Louis. They scored 3 unanswered in the third. Just absolutely heartbreaking for the Wild, but more heartbreaking for our guy Higgins.
It was heartbreaking, but I guess it also does make sense when you look at the coming down the stretch in the NHL, who's playing for something still right now. And the Blues are trying to grab that 4 seed out of the West. Now, the Blues have been the worst team in the NHL in terms of the puck line, but that doesn't matter in terms of regular season standings because that's -1.5 or +1.5. Most of these games are by 1 goal.
There you go. I mean, Blues just making it happen, crushing Higgins' hopes and dreams, crushing the hopes and dreams of children in Minnesota everywhere, just sending all the families home sad. It was just tough to leave the arena.
I told the Blues that they needed to prove me wrong, and they did it on Monday, and they did it on Wednesday.
Oh man, they did not like our last podcast, Higgins. You upset the Blues.
I fueled St. Louis. That's not good. But today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast, The Next Best Bet, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Now, Brett, we do still have a few picks for the games on Thursday, but with so much of our bankroll tied into the NFL draft, obviously it's only going to be about one game per sport, right?
Yeah, I think everyone in America knows it's the NFL's world. We're just living in it, Higgins. So it's nice to have basketball and baseball and hockey when there's no football, but when there's football to talk about, we're going to talk about football. But we still have some games we can bet on. So you and I found some lines. I found an interesting one between the Raptors and the Nuggets. The Raptors have struggled, Higgins. They have not been very good. The Nuggets still fighting for some seeding. They'd like to get as many home games as possible in the postseason. We've discussed it a few times. Altitude is a real home court advantage. Plus,
Especially late in the season.
yeah, exactly. Plus, we've seen, with the vaccination rates increasing and everything like that, some loosening up of the CDC guidelines. Who's to say this doesn't continue and eventually more people can go to stadiums in the future, which could, just happen to intersect with the NHL and NBA postseason. So maybe more fans in the stands in the future. That's something else that could possibly be in play, but for right now, I'm focused on Thursday night, Higgins. Raptors at Nuggets. Nuggets -4. They're playing better basketball. They're the home team. Raptors struggling right now, limping into maybe the postseason. They might miss the postseason, to be honest. So I'm going to take Denver -4, Higgins.
That seems like the smart play. I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're really trying to not just catch up to the Utah Jazz, who they're 4 games back of as of Wednesday night, but potentially make a run in terms of the Western Conference standings overall. I'm staying in the West, Brett, but I'm going with a team that's playing for something against a team that's already been eliminated from contention. And you look at it, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've packed up their season. They're done in already. They're eliminated. So I don't see them trying to play spoiler against a red hot Steph coming to town. It's only -5 for the Warriors. I'm taking that -5 every time you give it to me this late in the season right now. I mean, 99 times out of 100, Steph Curry is going to lead the Warriors to cover that.
I've got an interesting number for you, Higgins. The
Yeah?
Minnesota Timberwolves are 9-6 on the year when D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns have been on the court together. They just beat the Utah Jazz twice in a back-to-back scenario. Minnesota is actually playing as good a basketball as anyone in the league right now. But I like everything you said. Give me the Warriors.
Also, this is the season ending of their regular season series. Both of the first 2 games were played in Oakland at Golden State. This is Andrew Wiggins' return to Minnesota.
That normally I buy in on the motivation, right? I am buying in on no Andrew Wiggins motivation.
Okay. Let's jump into the NHL then, Brett, because I couldn't find a line, but you know what? That's okay. I got battered and bruised by not just the Blues, but the NHL overall. I went 0 for 3, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. So I'm going to sit on the bench this episode, collect myself, and see where I'm going to bet on the NHL next episode.
Hey Higgins, you don't have to place a bet on everything. Like it's okay to not like something and sit it out. It's all good. I totally understand.
Oh wait, I
But
did take a pick. I just didn't write it in the rundown. You go carry on. I'll put this in the rundown real quick. You give your pick here.
all right, I found one, and it was a pretty special one, Higgins. I am getting 2.5 goals on the puck line with the Buffalo Sabres at the Boston Bruins. Now I'm having to pay some heavy juice, -142, but Higgins, I haven't seen a +2.5 all season, so. I am hopping on that, taking it and running. I understand I'm paying a heavy juice tax here, but I'm okay with it for the extra goal and a half.
Yeah, I only saw a 2.5 line once, and it's a rare beauty that you see. You'll see them live, obviously. The live
Right.
you'll see just reflected off whatever the score is. But a pre-game plus minus 2.5, you always got to find yourself on that plus 2.5. Doesn't matter the
Yeah,
juice.
you just kind of got to take it and just, take the money back.
So here is the pick that I am on, Brett. It's between the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And if you look at these two teams, they are coming down to the wire in terms of the seeding in the Central Division. The Lightning haven't locked in the third seed technically, and Dallas is sitting at 5 looking in with Nashville in the middle. Dallas coming to town against the Lightning, I know it is a tall task, but Dallas is going to come play spoiler. Dallas did not have a great start to their season, partly because of how hard COVID hit them early in the season. They had to start their season when everyone was basically into mid swing. So the Lightning beat up on them early 5-0, 2-0, but then 4-3, 2-1, and the last time that the Stars played the Lightning, they won 4-3. That was a month ago. The Stars are a new team again. They're gonna win again. Give it to me on the money line, plus 140.
All right, Higgins. Well, I hope you hit your big plus 140. I hope I hit my big minus 140. And, the two of us have a great night in the NHL.
Absolutely. And then I did also make a pick in the MLB, Brett, before we get out of here. And that is the Rockies are coming to visit the Diamondbacks. Now, in the MLB, travel, it's just as brutal as all the other sports. And MLB plays every single day, like you sometimes see in the NBA and the NHL. Both of these teams are playing tonight as we speak, Brett. But Arizona is already in Arizona. The Colorado Rockies are in San Francisco right now. They have to fly to Arizona to begin a new series against Arizona, who is finishing a home series, about to start another home series. Also, they have Luke Weaver on the mound against Antonio Senzatella, probably. Those are the probable starters right now. I'm taking the hometown bats against the tired, jet lagged bats. That's what I'm going with. Give me Arizona -1.5 at +135. Because there's going to be runs with these ERAs that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I like the travel aspect of this, Higgins. I think you're onto something there. It'll be interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, so before we get out of here, Brett, the Levy Lock pick of the pod, I had been spending most of the past few months catching up to you. Finally, I had last episode. We were tied 15 on the year. You won last episode. I lost. You're 16-15. I'm 15-16. So the honors are yours, obviously.
Yeah, man, you shouldn't have pissed me off. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's hard for you to lose your Levy Lock when you go 4-0.
I should just do that every week. So my Levy lock for this episode, I mentioned it a few seconds ago. The Toronto Raptors travel to the Denver Nuggets. I like the way the Nuggets are playing a lot better than the Raptors right now. Raptors have been struggling. They've been playing a lot of young guys. They're kind of in the development phase. It's really interesting to see what's going on with Toronto this year. I think the whole Tampa thing was tough on them, to be quite honest with you. So just give me the Nuggets -4. I think we'll see the better Raptors team next year.
I'm also sticking in the NBA with my pick of the pod, Brett. I'm going with the Warriors -5. I mean, the Timberwolves are already eliminated. They're hosting a Warriors team fighting for some of these expanded playoff seedings right now. That's put a Golden State in contention. Steph Curry's red hot right now. They might be getting Kelly Oubre back. We don't know as of we're recording this, but he's day to day right now, so check that on Thursday before you place your bets in terms of the injury reports, obviously. I like Warriors -5. You got Nuggets -4. Hopefully both our NBA wins hit. I'm not going to try to be malicious with you because I've learned that when I was nice, that's how I caught up with you. You just happen to lose sometimes. So, best wishes to both of us.
Yeah. Exactly. You just gotta support each other and hope we beat the Bucks. I don't know why you're coming after me all the time.
Hey, I'm competitive. I'm
Uh,
competitive. That's why we do this.
oh man.
Make sure to follow us on social media. We'll have some picks in between now and next podcast as well. That's at MBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been episode 136 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you again after the weekend. Happy NFL Draft Day!